Bingo and Joker are two very important military tactical fuel values. Let's start with Bingo. The official definition of Bingo is fuel state needed for recovery, or more precisely, fuel needed to get from the most distant point on the planned route to the planned destination. But how does that look like in practice? Here we have an ordinary situation, a military exercise area in the near of an airbase. The advantage are short distances to and from the area. As we already know, Bingo is the fuel needed to get from the most distant point on the planned route to the planned destination. That means we first have to determine the most distant point. In this example here, the most distant point on the route is located inside the military exercise area on the top left corner. As long as we are at or above the Bingo fuel value, we know that we can reach our planned destination from the most distant point, which is in our example here, in the area. Here we have now a more complex situation where we need, additionally to Bingo, a second military tactical fuel value, which is called Joker. Joker is a fuel value above Bingo, which serves as safety margin. Let's again first determine the most distant point on the route here. As we know, Bingo allows us to reach the planned destination from the determined most distant point, which is, by the way, very important, for example, to accomplish an important objective, which is possibly very important for subsequent missions. But what happens now when we consumed already too much fuel in an exercise area and we are already at or below the calculated Bingo value? That means we cannot proceed on the planned route because we haven't even reached the actual most distant point, because that point is located further away on the route. To ensure that this doesn't happen, we have a second fuel value above Bingo, which serves as safety margin. It covers the part between, for example, an exercise area where a high fuel consumption is expected and the actual most distant point, if that point is further away. The actual calculation of the two fuel values depends mainly on the used aircraft, its fuel consumption, and the published minimum and reserve fuel values for that type. But the calculation itself is always the same. Bingo consists of, first, the minimum fuel, in case of the T6 Alpha Texan 2, 150 pounds. Secondly, the actual trip fuel from the most distant point to the planned destination. And last but not least, the reserve fuel, in the case of the T6 Alpha Texan 2, 100 pounds. Joker, however, depends on the planned mission and if there are military training or exercise areas prior to the actual most distant point. It is enough to calculate the trip fuel for this part as Joker. Bingo and Joker are purely military tactical fuel values and do not need to be calculated at simple GAT flights from A to B.